Hey, how's it going, everybody? Shaun here for another daily movie review, and today we're going to be talking about the 1990 thriller Pacific Heights, directed by John Schlesinger, written by Daniel Pine. It stars Melanie Griffith, Matthew Modine, Micheal Keaton, Mako, Nobi McCarthy, Laurie Metcalf, Carl Lumbly, Dorian Harewood, and others. The plot synopsis is a couple work hard to renovate their dream house and become landlords to pay for it. Unfortunately, one of their tenants has plans of his own. So yeah, I don't know why. When I get like down in the dumps, when I'm kind of feeling a little depressed or whatever, I like watching mediocre movies from the 90s, specifically thrillers. And for some reason, I had never seen this before. I'm actually kind of a big Micheal Keaton fan. I kind of like Micheal Keaton's just his vibe, his energy. Probably more than, I mean, not just because he's Batman. You know, I grew up being a big Batman kid. But I don't know what about, I like his other movies that he's in. That I'm now blanking on. The stuff that he did in the 80s, even from going all the way back to the beginning. If you go back to like After Hours, I think it's called. Mr. Mom, Gung Ho, The Squeeze, Beetlejuice, Clean and Sober. Great drama, The Dream Team. I don't know why. I've just always had a thing for him. And that's kind of what drew my eye to this. Because, you know, I've heard of Pacific Heights. I've seen the poster before, but I never actually watched the movie. And it promised, you know, I'd get like a kind of psycho Micheal Keaton, crazy Micheal Keaton, dangerous Micheal Keaton, thriller Micheal Keaton. I was like, oh, you know, I don't think I've ever really seen this version of Micheal Keaton. He did one other kind of thriller movie where he was the bad guy. I think it's called Extreme Measures with what's his name, Andy Garcia. I've never seen that either. Or actually, no, I take that back. I've seen it. It's just I was probably like 12 because I was a weird kid. And I watch things like Extreme Measures for some reason. But anyways, I'd never seen Pacific Heights. It enticed me because of Micheal Keaton. Being a little down on the dumps. Get that 90s very okay movie. Mediocre but very watchable movie into my system. So it's kind of like my chicken soup, you know? And that's kind of what I assumed it was, and that's what it is. It's an interesting movie. It's got kind of almost like a Jekyll and Hyde thing about it. It's got like these two halves of the movie where the first half feels kind of like a almost credible, kind of almost like legal thriller dealing with a troubled tenant who's not like paying his rent. They make overtures that before he actually goes to these people and tries to screw them. Micheal Keaton's character is something of a con man. And as the story unfolds, you find out more about him and where he's coming from. And honestly, it gets a little silly. But the first like hour, I was pretty into it. Like, you know, it does have that just like kind of pleasantly mediocre vibe to it. Very workmanlike. Schlesinger is not out here doing anything crazy. He's not David Fincher making The Panic Room or something like that. It's just kind of workmanlike. It could have been a TV movie in another era. Like, you know, a lot of these kind of movies are like good Lifetime channel movies. You know, that's what they're like, just the A game version of a Lifetime movie. That's the vibe they put off. But anyways, I think it largely works, even though I do think it is like the third act becomes very contrived, but in a way that's not entertaining. It's still entertaining. It's just not. It does not feel in concert with what came before, because there was kind of it was almost intriguing, because this is something that happens, used to happen a lot in California, probably still does to this day. It's like getting rid of tenants, landlords having trouble with squatters and stuff like that. The state actually protects squatters and whatnot more than they actually protect the landlord in a lot of cases. And this was one of these, that's kind of what the story was. That was the vibe of what was happening for the first hour of the movie. You knew that, you know, there was obviously something else going on. Micheal Keaton was certainly up to something. And, you know, spoilers, basically what this guy does, he's just kind of a psychopath. He's like the son of a very wealthy family, but he's been disowned by his family, but they do pay him money and he just blows through it. But he goes and stays in these kind of houses and tries to like kind of gaslight landlords into getting into legal battles with him where sometimes he ends up just like owning the property because of having to settle and whatnot. And he will gaslight people and force them to escalate the situation. You know, there's some kind of crazy scenes in the movie where Michael Keaton is, he comes in, you know, like he's been giving these people hell. He's been avoiding them. There's something going on in the apartment. They changed all the locks. They can't get in. And at one point, Melanie Griffith's character is so stressed that she has a miscarriage. And this motherfucker comes up the next morning with a bunch of flowers. Matthew Modine, he just loses it. You know, Matthew Modine from Full Metal Jacket fame. He loses it on him. Starts trying to kill him. Starts fucking him up. Well, then he gets a restraining order put on him. And, you know, and the rest goes the way it goes. And it's interesting, I think, when they're kind of preparing for this court case and the things that escalate in the story, while maybe not the most realistic stuff in the world, I was vibing with it. I was really enjoying that. It was different. It wasn't like the shitty, stupid, like slashery kind of thriller that maybe I expected it more to be. Because if you get Michael Keaton, especially in like 1990 Michael Keaton, if you get him in your movie to play your heavy, you would think you'd give him more to do in terms of like, you know, just really out there, kind of big performance. But he doesn't. He kind of comes in and gives a real subtle Michael Keaton performance. And he's able to play the layers very nicely. You know, he's like kind of, you know, superficially, oh, this nice guy. Hey, I'm trying to be really reasonable. I'm just trying to work things out with these people. I'm sorry, the check's late. Your bank lost the money. But underneath it, you could just see it behind his eyes, like this sociopath nightmare. And he plays it really, really well. And I really enjoyed Michael Keaton in the movie, so I got what I wanted from that. It's not until the third act where it becomes a different kind of movie. It becomes much more what feels like kind of a stereotypical thriller. Almost becomes like this bullshit detective movie where Melanie Griffith's character, the wife and co-owner of this building in Pacific Heights, she basically turns into like Columbo and like goes to figure out who Michael Keaton's character really is and tries to fuck with him, and that makes it personal. There's this last minute foreshadowing that they do in the movie because they didn't set it up well enough. He's like, good thing this guy wasn't taking it personal. Good thing this guy was just trying to fuck with you for psycho fun. Good thing he doesn't actually hate you as a person, because if you did, oh my gosh. Then of course she does this stuff to him, embarrasses him while he's on another grift. Some old rich lady. Actually, Tippi Hedren. If you ever see The Birds, the Hitchcock movie The Birds, or the Hitchcock movie Marnie, that's Tippi Hedren. She has no speaking lines though. It's kind of weird. Anyways, yeah. So then it becomes kind of a stereotypical. He basically becomes like a Terminator-like villain where he just can't be stopped, and he comes in to kill Melanie Griffith, and then it gets a little silly. Not bad. I would never say it leaps into being awful territory, but I was so pleased with like the first hour because of how thoughtful it was, and it was just different. And I was like, oh well, maybe this will actually be, maybe it's just one of those things that's kind of a victim of marketing where they tried to make it look like fucking Misery, like with the poster and stuff like that, but it's really more of just kind of a low-key legal thriller. I was thinking that, but no, he just turns into a straight-up monster. There is one great scene with Michael Keaton where he's in a park. He's in like the garage of the place, and Melanie Griffith has to go down to the garage to do something with a circuit breaker, and he's just like chilling in his car, like smoking a cigarette, taking long drags. You see like a little bit light of his face, and he's got that great brow, and he's like, you know, doing the Batman eyebrows. It's a great little moment. It's a great little psycho moment. So it's a good cheesy time. Like, it's on Amazon Prime right now if you have Amazon Prime. It's a good cheesy time. I wouldn't say like, no, is this a run out? You must watch this. You must watch Pacific Heights. No, I would not say that. But it's if you're like me, listen, if you're a fucking weirdo like me, okay, listen, come here. If you're a weirdo like me and you find these kinds of movies endearing in a weird way, gets that nostalgia juice going. I feel like a kid staying home from school watching HBO. Pacific Heights will do that for you. Take you right back there. So if you got a little sickness of your soul, maybe some even literal sickness, it's a good movie to throw on at like 1:30 in the afternoon while you almost fall asleep, but you don't fall asleep. Right before you take your nap, you know? It's one of those movies. I would recommend it on that level. Everybody else is fine in the movie. Laurie Metcalf, fine. Modine, fine. Melanie Griffith, fine. Keaton, chef's kiss. I love what he does in this movie. I wish the movie was better, because it's a good performance, and you could tell that he was having fun, or at least has the air of somebody that came in to have some fun. So I'll say that about it. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to know more about Zoobox, there's a bunch of links in the description for Facebook, for Instagram, for my Twitter, for Dan's Twitter. It's at Deekster2. Also, if you would like to make a recommendation for one of these daily videos, leave it in the comments. Probably won't get to it until after October. If you're going to recommend something now, try to make it a horror movie, because I'm already building up stuff for October. I've actually already recorded some stuff. So I'm like about 5 or 6 days into October right now. I'm going on vacation, so I'm trying to like fucking get everything straight. But anyways, you have the best one ever. Goodbye. Goodbye.